Hip hop has recently had its 50th birthday, and with it has really opened the door for some nostalgia. It's a celebratory period. While it is one of the younger genres of music, its style has changed and evolved considerably over the years it's been around, at least in the mainstream. It's birthed so many legends over the years, and with each legend kind of brings a new voice, a new sound, a new way of telling stories. But one thing that it, or at least a chunk of members on the scene, do refuse to let go of is misogyny. Let's talk about it. Hi all, welcome back, or welcome if this is your first time. I hope that if you are having any symptoms that they go away and leave you in peace soon. Feel free to get a nice warm drink, get cozy, and let's have a little chat. Now, okay, so for the few people that do follow me or keep up, it's been a minute. And sorry, this video has been through it, but life has been lifing. Since my last video, have literally moved home, got a new job, started a completely new career, and been ill 7 times. So this is why it's taken me so long. I'll always desire to be consistent with my content, but I can never promise it because, well, I'm disabled. Life in this country is, yeah. Now this video here changed a couple of times as I wrote the script. It's giving Gemini. But I'm really excited to be talking about this because, man, hip-hop's been an important part of my life since I was a kid. It's kind of, for me, been like that uncle that's always at the family function. That you know and love, but only as you get older do you start to properly get to know it, for better and for worse. You get me? Look, let me explain. But before I get into the meat of it, we've got to go way back to 1970s for the birth of hip-hop. Chapter 1. The state of the 70s. In 1973, in a small neighborhood in the Bronx, hip-hop was born. The genre found itself being born in an area of immense talent, but up against a backdrop of systemic oppression and financial plight. Now, the 70s was a rough time for the Bronx, and you only need to have a cursory look through the headlines at the time to see it. Burning buildings, a high unemployment rate, and a serial killer roaming the neighborhood created a pretty tough environment to live and grow up in. Even worse is that the Bronx was a neighborhood that was the target of a lot of financial cuts, mainly targeting black-owned businesses, of course. Civil rights for black people were getting better thanks to the growing Black Power movement, but they were still nowhere near where they needed to be. Now, 1972 saw the passing of the Equal Employment Opportunity Act and the Equal Opportunity Act, which saw the beginning of affirmative action. But what good was affirmative action if you just got hired into a workplace that treated you shit, paid you less, and took every opportunity they could to remind you that they all believed that you were less than? What good was affirmative action when the state of the city meant that the businesses that could have hired you no longer existed? Hip-hop was quickly formed then as a way to call this stuff out, to protest it, to channel anger and frustration into art. And as it grew over the next decade, so too did the talents within it. The 80s saw hip-hop change from a small city sound to a nationwide craze. As it grew and took shape, it developed a strong current of social commentary, both internal and external, with greats like Public Enemy, Grandmaster Flash, NWA, and so many more. The door opened for rapping about societal issues to enter the mainstream. Early rapper Royce da 5'9" said of it recently, hip-hop was that voice that America couldn't control. It was that voice of the streets that they didn't know what the next line is going to be. And that scared them, because we spoke our own unapologetic truth. We spoke about environments that were overlooked, that didn't have a voice, that didn't have a say, that didn't have pretty much anything. But one question, where were the women? Politically, the 80s was full of movements from the latter end of second-wave feminism. While first-wave feminism focused mainly on legal rights, second-wave feminism, of course, sought to take the next step, highlighting gender inequality and seeking to extinguish it. It sought to see an end to traditional gender roles and domestic violence, give women rights and financial independence, and create more equal workplaces. However, the movement itself was mainly made up of white women who gave no regard to considering the needs of women of colour. This then put black women in not the greatest position, caught between a movement that, for all intents and purposes, should be for them, but full of people who would not give them adequate space to speak about their issues, and another movement that, again, should be for them, but then in one breath spoke on racism, but in other breaths from certain men was belittling and disparaging them. But that wasn't going to stop our girls, was it? Enter Shah Rock. Shah Rock, real name Sharon Green, started as a member of the group Funky 4. She left and then later returned a few months, and the group renamed itself to Funky 4 Plus One. There is absolutely no doubt that she helped the group become what it is. She wasn't only a talented rapper, she was an innovator and a pioneer, popularizing the echo chamber effect, a style of rapping that kind of like repeats words to add punch and emphasis to them. The group went on to become one of the first hip-hop groups to perform on TV, performing on Saturday Night Live in 1981. Bringing rap and hip-hop to the masses. Now, Funky 4+1 didn't go on to have like incredible success, but Shell Rock had left a legacy behind nonetheless. She became the first woman MC. The 80s brought forth many more female MCs, but many labels were just way too hesitant to give them record deals on their own. They didn't think women rappers could sell records, so they went for ones that were in or affiliated with groups that were mainly made up of men. And nonetheless, they still shone, in groups of men or alone. Roxanne Shante, who'd been rapping since she was a kid and won a local rapping competition at the age of 10. What were you doing at 10? Salt-N-Pepa, the first female rap act to achieve gold and platinum status with their debut album Hot, Cool and Vicious. A great combination of raps about sexual satisfaction, equality and life's desires. But then in 1988, MC Lyte became the first solo female rapper to release a full album, Light as Rock. An album that still holds up good today. With her smooth rhymes and crazy lyricism, she gave us some real tracks about self-empowerment, a waste man of an ex, and a juicy as fuck diss. But there's someone I really want to talk about with regards to both hip-hop and how women were treated both on the scene and around it too. You gotta know who it is. Chapter 2. UNITY. Dana Elaine Owens, better known to us all as Queen Latifah, left a massive stamp on the scene when, at only 19, she released her first album, All Hail the Queen. She was about that shit, and she wasn't going to let nobody disrespect her or any other women. She came with a voice to uplift women, but she also wanted everyone else to know that she was one of the best in the game.
Take 6 paces and begin to rhyme. As soon as she attempted to make a sound, I ate her up with a verb, broke her down with a noun. Cause I hate when someone challenges me, but can I balance with me? I get annoyed when they can't go blow for blow. I get pissed when I hear the lyrics.
I mean, look at this music video. Look at it.
Oh, ladies first, ladies first. Oh, ladies first, ladies first.
Sis was giving us amazing black women from history, and she herself, I mean, look at this fit. It's giving war general. Move the fuck over, Khaleesi. But what I really want us to focus on here is the combination of Afrocentrist imagery in her video alongside her feminist lyrics and imagery. As I said before, feminism was truly dominated by white women and really excluded black women. Not so different from today. But here in this video and her album, Latifah was boldly repping Afrocentrist feminism, demonstrating both her love and her pride for her African heritage and her love and appreciation for herself as a black woman. Now, this was big. Afrocentrism and Pan-Africanism had been around for a minute, but the reality was that still quite a lot of black men were just using it as a means of trying to justify putting women in a box too. Hell, you can still see it today. The Grand Rising Queen Hotep crowd still be screaming about wanting a black queen, which is just code for a beautiful, subservient black woman who fits their idea of womanhood. Queen Latifah wasn't having any of it. And as she continued making music, she continued spreading her message.
The name Latifah is Arabic and it means delicate and sensitive. And it was given to me when I was 8 years old by my cousin Sharonda. She's Muslim and stuck with me ever since.
And Queen?
Queen came later on. As I gained more knowledge of who I am and where my people came from and so on and so forth, it was a title I adapted that I feel all black women hold.
Interestingly enough, the rap scene of the time seemed to be where Latifah almost experienced a break from the misogynoir of the outside world. The many male rappers and producers she worked with, from De La Soul to 4-5 King, all accepted and encouraged her. But labels in the outside world were the ones where the doubts were shown and the respect was lacking. And when it came to labels being hesitant, spending as much money marketing Latifah and other women as they did the male counterparts, it could have a very real impact on their success and their music. She became an inspiration for many and paved the way for many more women rappers to enter the game and make a name for themselves. But not only that, her proud Pan-Africanism and the usage of the Arabic name that she was gifted by her cousin, I'd argue was a fundamental force in widening the Pan-African movement. Of course, we all know now that she went on to find even greater success in Hollywood. But so many of us will always remember her first as one of the greats of the 80s and 90s that changed the game. Now look at this clip from this interview because I found what she said really, really interesting.
How would you define, Latifah's style?
Real, down to earth. My style is very real and down to earth. It's not materialistic in any form or fashion. Of course, there's a typical self-glorification that you have to put into a standard rhyme.
Now, her and her music were not materialistic at all. And they were very real. But as the 90s came around, some women were about to become real in a very different way. And have fun with materialism too. Because it was time for black women to reclaim something else. Their sexuality. Chapter 3. Feminist Sexual Liberation. During the 90s, hip-hop itself was undergoing an evolution. It was expanding massively from its roots and becoming way more varied. Simple party tunes and conscious rap remained, but this decade gave birth to a more shallow, braggadocious style of hip-hop. We had Snoop rapping about a party with kush, women and booze, Dre rapping about smoking and fucking. I could go on. But hip-hop really hitting and staying in the mainstream really transformed it into something where people could set their eyes on it and see dollar signs. Thus, then did it play into the current logomania craze that was sweeping the nation. But how did this look to women? Men flaunting their wealth and calling women bitches, bragging about sleeping with them. Well, they adapted and ran with it. Now, obviously, I can't talk about this era of rap without mentioning the absolute trendsetter Lil' Kim. She started as a member of a group called Junior Mafia. And after release of their first album, she went solo and released her first album at the end of 1996. The album debuted at 11 on the Billboard 200 and 3 on their top hip-hop/R&B albums, being certified platinum the next year. She came onto the scene with an image many would never forget. A woman of tiny stature but bold, colourful wardrobe. She was a blueprint for style and expression which Nicki Minaj and many other women would still follow to this day. But what the media really noticed her for was her sexually liberated, provocative lyrics. I mean, listen to them. But listen, the reception to her at the time really demonstrated a massive double standard. I'm not going to sit here and act like the men who rapped about similar things weren't kind of getting called out and discussed. But boy, was everyone coming down harder on black women, especially Lil' Kim. Look at this man getting mad over her lyrics.
Now, our beautiful artists are in a position to send a message to our people, a message of deliverance, a message of prosperity, a message of rise up, you mighty people. Then why open up your legs and show us in a negative light? Stand up and let your light so shine. You're beautiful. Their message should be a message that is beautiful. 12-year-old girls listening, you can tell them all you want. Don't do it. If your mother's smoking cigarettes in front of the children are going to smoke the cigarettes.
Is it even that deep? It's really interesting because a big point of contention in that interview was that young kids could get their hands on Lil' Kim's music. But is that her fault? And more importantly, will you come in with the same vim for men saying this thing as well?
I don't think so.
Lil' Kim handled the interview the best she could. Damn, was it a massive double standard. And I'm glad to say that even after that, she kept going. Now, obviously, Lil' Kim was among many memorable black female MCs of the 90s. Foxy Brown, Da Brat, Missy Elliott, Lauryn Hill. Miss Lauryn Hill. But something that really set her apart and probably caused her to enter the crosshairs of these loserish men was her taking both her fashion and her sexy femininity and cranking them both to 1,000. Like, look at these looks. Look at them. Look how she ate that.
Look how she ate that.
There was an unspoken expectation that all female rappers had to behave with a kind of decorum, cover up, and certainly not upstage men when it came to talking about sex. They were only allowed to rap about conscious things. Be more like Queen Latifah. But she did not give a fuck. Over her career, Lil' Kim received over 100 award nominations and won over 50. But that didn't keep people from bashing on her. Even before being in the public eye, Lil' Kim struggled with her self-image. So I can only imagine how much blowing up and having loads of people commenting on you then exacerbated things. She said in an interview in 2000, "I have low self-esteem and I always have. Guys always cheated on me with women who were European looking, the long hair type. Really beautiful women that left me thinking, how can I compete with that? Being a regular black girl wasn't good enough." of her dad and how he treated her during her childhood, she said, "It was like I could do nothing right. Everything about me was wrong. My hair, my clothes, just me." Obviously, hearing this now is even harder to listen to as Lil' Kim has drastically altered her image. She looks completely unrecognizable to the people who wouldn't know. And all of this is a big reason of why I'll never judge her for doing this, nor do I have the right to. Because this was and is the environment that a lot of black girls grow up in. Even in their home, even their own parents were putting them down based on the features they can't help having, that they're born with, that they inherited, based on their blackness. Sometimes before they can even speak. And I mean, this is going to parallel what I do talk about later on in the video. But I will also just say here, this treatment affects you for life. Where you go, what you think you deserve, what you can allow to happen to you. And it's not lost on me that with this video, I can't just talk about the media treatment of black women in the limelight, because that's only half the battle for them. The other battle's at home. And what then? What about when someone a black woman thought was part of their home, someone safe, harms them? Where can they go? And how will everybody react? The story is told again and again in real time, but not so many happen so much in the public eye as this case. Chapter 4. I fucking hate y'all. Trigger warning, violence and misogyny. In July 2020, rapper Megan Thee Stallion was shot in the foot by Wasteman rapper with barely any hair on his head anymore, Tory Lanez. We all know how the story went. Justice was served, for once. But the path to get to there was one made hideously harder for Megan by a rampage of misogyny and just evil. But before I speak on that, let's talk about Meg's rise to fame. Now, Miss Megan, known to her fans as Megan Thee Stallion, born Megan Javon Ruth Pete, was born in 1995 to her dad and a rapper mother. Not long after she was born, her dad went to prison for 8 years. And in her teen years, he was sadly killed. So Meg spent a lot of her formative years with just her mum. Now, Mama Thee Stallion, Holly Thomas, was also a rapper and performed under the name Hollywood. Get it? Being around her mum rapping gave Meg not only an interest in rap, but also a good avenue to learn about it and practice it. As a teenager, she started rapping, and it's around this time that she got the nickname Stallion. Men just started calling her it a lot, so eventually it just stuck. At the request of Mama Stallion, she waited until graduating school to properly pursue a career in rap. When she was at university, she started uploading videos of her freestyles online. One such freestyle of her battling in a cypher went viral, blowing up her social media pages and beginning her ascent to stardom. A couple years later, she released her first single, Like a Stallion. 2 years after that, she got signed to a label. And 2 years after that, she was massive, releasing singles with Normani, Cardi B, and Beyonce. And she was a judge on HBO Max's voguing competition show, Legendary. Bring it back, please. And fast forward to now, and Miss Girl has so many accolades, such as her Grammys, American Music Awards, and more. And she's not even 30 yet. Wow. But alongside all of that, of course, haters were hatering. Of course, any celebrity is going to get hate from somewhere, right? Let's be real. But let's also be real about the fact that hate against black women, that shit is a different breed. From the get-go, there were accusations that she was transgender. The same old playbook. Because God forbid black women don't fit into the Eurocentric standards of what women should look like. But the whole time, once she was popular, there was always an onslaught of people, mainly men, waiting for anything to use against her. They wanted her to fail. They wanted her to fuck up, to stumble. And in the middle of the Panasonic, they finally got their chance. In July 2020, Meg and Tory were on their way home from a party hosted at Kylie Jenner's house. During the journey home, Meg joked about Tory's music talents or lack thereof, and the two got into an argument. Meg said that she wanted to get out of the car, and when Tory refused, she demanded. Finally, he pulled over and let her get out. And as she got out, the last thing she heard was him shouting at her to dance, and then he shot her in the foot. Now, initially after the fact, Meg had just told the police that she trodden on broken glass. Obviously, because she was trying to protect him. But afterwards, she did share the truth on Instagram, and boy, did the internet not take it well. Meg was subjected to months and months of abuse, from tweets to memes to comments calling her a liar or making fun of what happened. What's worse is that other rappers and artists decided to join the chorus of people gaslighting her, including, of course, certified waste man Drake on his track Circa Loco. There was even a letter sent to the judge in defense of Tory's character when it was coming to court, signed by 70 people, including Queen of the Fake Accents, Igloo Australia. As the months passed, Meg shared more information to try and get the gaslighting and accusations of lying to stop, including details of her aftercare and the x-ray of her foot right after it had been shot. But people wouldn't take it. Only when Tory was found guilty of shooting Meg in 2022 did the crowd die down a bit, including 50 Cent apologising for sharing a meme back then that had essentially made fun of Meg. Now, this whole situation is obviously traumatising. Not only being shot by your friend, but then your whole journey for justice being blasted on social media. And a lot of people dragging you down. It's a real demonstration of how black women are in general degraded and their pain not believed, or also used to make jokes, especially by a lot of black men, if we're being real. Now, Megan was lucky in the fact that she had a lot of money, fame, and public backers. But a lot of black women who go through situations like this obviously won't have anything close to any of this. Now, what is really heartbreaking is that Megan has said that, understandably, this situation has changed her and she's never going to be the same. And the 2 years post the incident where she was fighting for justice were torture. But I'm so happy that she survived and made it through. Hip-hop, like any movement or subculture, is a microcosm of the specific part of society that birthed it. And as society grows and evolves, so too will hip-hop. And just as society really doesn't want to shape misogyny, no matter what pocket of society you're in, neither will it. But that hasn't stopped black women from using it to share their message, empower themselves, whichever way that may be, and collect the fucking bag. I'm really looking forward to what the next 50 years will hold for hip-hop, and black women in it specifically. There's so much new talent bursting onto the scene once again, and I'm so excited to watch their careers and talents grow and flourish. Well, that was a long one, but just before I wrap it up, I just wanted to say that I hope that any black women that are watching this are just taking care of themselves and are safe and doing whatever they can. It's a messed up world, and honestly, like, spending time researching this wasn't easy because a lot of the hip-hop artists I touched on were big or had their moments before I was born or before I really knew what was up. Even when I was maybe growing up on like the tail end of like Lil' Kim and Missy Elliott and stuff, like at the end of the day, I was just like, this is a cool person with a lot of talent. I love her outfits. I love the dancing. That was it as a kid. And you go back and learn and you really investigate and you watch these interviews, which I did. And I think it was really just piecing together like the extent, I guess specifically like with misogynoir and the movement, and specifically where I started the video, where they were caught between, you know, the Pan-African movement and the white feminist movement, and not being 100% represented in either of them. And this is something that at the end of the day is still happening now. And number one, just a reminder to my black women, like, if there is a movement going on for a part of your identity and it's not including all of you, please do not try and be that voice that changes them. That is not your job. If we're being real, it's your contemporaries' job. It's like with white feminism, it really is a job for white women to come in and be like, no, you people need to fix the fuck up. And it's the same in pro-black movements that, or not movements, but groups or people that are misogynistic. It would be men's job. Like, it would be our fucking job. And this is part of what I'm trying to do at the end of the day, is have men think about these things, because any fucking movement for civil rights, wherever you are, needs to be intersectional, obviously. And I think people now are bouncing around with this word a bit more than they were 10 years ago, but not a lot of people are really taking the time to do the work and forensically analyze what that can mean within themselves. And especially a lot of people specifically when they're in like a minoritized group or an oppressed group, but then also in like a group with privilege, really struggle with accepting that they still have this privilege, and are in absolute denial and take that as an offense. And you see it with men of different races, you see it with white women primarily, queer people, like queer white people, like I really could go on. But what I hope is that as time goes on and more stuff like this comes out and more people are talking about it, that a lot of these people will actually take the time to enlighten themselves. But I say again and again and again that, like, it's not your job to teach these people, as much as specifically white women will really always try. A lot of them will try to make black women teach them and like baby them. It's some weird fucking thing. It's giving like Sharon Osbourne, educate me! Like, we need to fucking move past that shit. And all your responsibility as in moving past that is just saying no, just moving the fuck away. White women need to figure this shit out. There's plenty of stuff online already. Plenty of people have these conversations with them. they are just sitting in a phase of denial. And it's the same with anyone who's not doing intersectionality in their movements. There is an absolute abundance of denial there in their hearts and their brains that they just will not accept that they too can oppress no matter their oppressed state. And hopefully these people will fix the fuck up. I don't know, but trust, I'll keep fighting. Thank you so much everyone for watching this video anyway. It has also been really lovely to just take a deep dive through history and stuff, and also like spend time looking at some of the greats and listening to their music over and over again. I'm doubtful that I'll get another video out by the end of the year, if I'm being real. I have ideas, but life is lifing. But I'm hoping that in the new year things can go well, that I'll be able to create and produce essays at a bit of a better pace, but who knows. But anyways, if I don't see you on the end of the new year, I hope you have a wonderful Christmas, a really great new year. I hope you get to put your feet up, take care of yourself, especially my disabled baddies. Please just start using the rest of the year to relax and chill. It's cold, it's miserable, politics are a mess, there's a lot of shit going on around the world, and I know that probably a lot of you are trying to do what you can to support. And obviously as disabled people, are quite limited in how we can join in a lot of movements, but we do have the internet, and if you have a bit of money to spare, great. If you don't, you still got your clicks, you've got your scrolls, you've got your online voices. Every little bit helps. Much love to you all. Take care. Bye.